Hi, I'm Mark Hirschi with Salmon's Moving and Storage located in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, and welcome to Movified. I am so excited. We are at the Canadian Association of Movers located out here in Mississauga, Ontario. If you're like, I have no idea what you just said, did you say Mississippi? I did not. It is just outside of Toronto, Ontario. And today I have a great guest I'm super excited to talk to. He spoke to a bunch of us earlier today. Peter, welcome.
Thanks, Mark.
Peter's with Raven Research. Peter, can you give us a little bit of a little history of who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So Raven Research is my one-man consulting firm. Perhaps one day there'll be more than one of me, but for now it's just me. And I'm out of Brampton, Ontario. But I do specialize in moving because I had my own moving company, sold it successfully 2.5 years ago, but I operated my own van line agency for 10 years. And that was Phillips Moving and Storage in Toronto. And then prior to that, I've been in the moving and logistics space for 25 years, 10 of which own my own shop. So now I say what I am now is I'm no longer a boxer in the ring. I'm the trainer. Come see me in the corner. So I got lots of young clients that are full of energy for this industry. They're in the ring. They come see me in between rounds.
Which I love. Now I'm just already having a scene of Rocky and seeing you right there. I'm the one who's in the ring going, okay, Peter, like, tell me what's going on. For those that know me, I love acquisitions. I like looking at those moving companies that are either a dying breed, they are struggling to find what they're even doing wrong, but they're just going two ways. One, they just want to get out and they're done because they're struggling because they don't know where to go. Two, they just want to retire and they want to just walk away with something, know that someone's taking over the company well. For someone like yourself that wants to guide someone like me, what are some of the things I should be looking for when I'm looking to acquire a moving company?
Great question. Get right after it. I like it. What I found when I was selling, and then now I'm trying to provide what I would have wanted when I was there, right? And selling acquisition is just, you're doing a lot of the same steps. You're just doing it from a different side of the tape. So if I ever say selling or buying, it's mergers and acquisition. You're in the space, right? You're valuing assets, you're agreeing on that valuation, you're structuring deals. And so the side doesn't really matter. But I remember it was quite challenging running a moving company, that's hard enough. And then trying to sell it, I said, man, I'd like some help. And I had already been working with, you've met Colby. And so I was kind of getting this proof of concept that maybe there's a space for a consultant. And that consultant not only consults on operational issues, but possibly in the mergers and acquisitions. Because the problem with the moving industries you'll always find is that we're niche. And so if we want to go do mergers and acquisitions, we can't go to KPMG. They're not going to take our call. We can't go to Deloitte, right? You're eager. You want to get a look at something. And so if you were a big corporation, you would go to KPMG. You would go to Deloitte. You'd go one of the big four.
Sure.
And you'd say to them, here's my price tag. Here's my industry. Tell me what you got, right? Those guys can't be bothered with us. And it's no knock. It's just they're dealing with a different scale. 100 million minimum.
Sure.
In sales. Not a lot of movers at that mark. So how do I help you with acquisitions is it's all grassroots. And it's everything you said. We're in a sea change. We're in a generational sea change. When I bought Phillips 12 years ago, I was the young guy because the industry didn't have any young guys. I was 40 and I'm the young guy? Really? Not the kid, but that showed you how old moving was. Now we've got tons of guys in that room. You saw it. They're in their 30s. That wasn't ever there. A lot of it might have been capital requirements. Guys can't get in, can't buy the iron. But now these savvy operators are coming in. They're moving with little overhead so they can do it. But again, for you, for acquisitions, it's grassroots. Do you have this generation above you? And they don't know what to do. They don't because they're movers. And most of them are truckers that became movers.
Exactly. And the new guys coming out horrible with numbers too.
Yeah. And I thought Mike was great in that piece, being honest with us. He's a former breeder, trucker. Yeah. And he kind of said, I don't know, wasn't really on the numbers. Young guys like you, I can see you're on the numbers, right? It's a different breed coming up. And so you got to deal with these guys and they don't really know their numbers, have some external financials, they told us.
And that's also, when you guys were talking earlier on stage, it got broken down into 3 different areas that we talked about, right? Experience, the sales and marketing side of things, and finance. and understanding which one becomes the most important when you are looking to buy a moving company. But also, you also have to play on the fact that where are your strengths? When I saw this panel of young and old, you had guys that were like, well, I went to business school. I understand finance. This is fantastic. And then the other guy was like, I'm on a truck. So, for you to start going, well, no, we need to know the numbers. We need to know the numbers. If you don't even understand the numbers, get someone that's really good at doing it. But running a moving company and having some sort of expertise that what a 2 cube and a 4 cube is, or, what a difference between a dolly and a four-wheeler is kind of important, when you're about to buy this company, especially understanding even what a local move is in household goods as opposed to a long distance, and understanding tariffs. Now, I purchased Salmon's release storage. I had no idea what a tariff was because I went from a local, horrible still. Does anybody still want to explain to me how tariff is read? Sign me up. I remember having a conversation with someone saying, can we not just get like a playbook on this particular, like on each tariff? Why does it have to be 500 pages long and complicated? And you know what? Guess what, guys? Probably in 2025, I'll come out with something that's more condensed for the industry.
The industry is ripe for disruption, simplification, right? But until that occurs, guy like you, local mover, you're doing it. You go buy a legacy brand, as I call it, van line mover. You get exposed to this, and it's not simple. No. And so you can have a desire to disrupt, but you can't change what you acquired. And what you acquired is tariffs.
Sure.
And 60-page tariffs. I'm not joking. Great. And you're going to need help. But that's what I try and provide my clients, because I've got a lot of the young guys are local movers and they're looking at legacy because they want to expand. And that legacy comes with I wish it wasn't complex, but I can't change the beast that they're buying. And it's a complicated beast. So again, your advice on acquisitions, but now that you've been through my advice to you before you bought Salmon would be different than my advice to you now.
What would you have told me? Like,
I just said, be careful.
If you heard my story from before, and let's add on more to this, because I don't know how deep you know Salmons. Salmons is also, or now is, like the only unionized moving company in Canada.
Well, you're unionized, okay.
So and you started on that front, so I inherited that as well too. So what would someone like you tell me? Even if you took that in or took that out, right? Let's just actually make it just nice and basic. I am a guy that's looking to, from a small moving company that says, wow, there's a big, large moving company, a legacy company. Opportunity to take this company to the next level. They have a really solid name. Already in my head, I'm thinking, wow, I'm paying so much on Google ads and all of this marketing material that I don't have to if I buy this company because the referral pays for itself. What should I be looking for? What would you tell me, at that time going, okay, Mark, like, we're going to go through this, we're going to go through that. Like, how does that work?
Let's just say it's then, was it 2017? 2017, yeah, 2017. That's because you started looking, but I heard 2018 was the acquisition.
Yeah, I laughed at you guys when you said it doesn't happen overnight, but also there was that 20-year, 5-year goal when these two companies on the panel were how long it took.
When I bought a Vicel, I did 30 days.
Well, and so that was fun. Yeah, exactly.
Because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. But for myself, it was, the seller saying, hey, I'd like to close in 3 months. Myself going, okay, I got to figure out financing and everything. And by the time that contract of everything just went back and forth, and you guys have figured it out, we're 8 months in.
Yep.
Now, I did it in 8 months, so it's not too bad.
That's actually fast for a legacy.
For a legacy acquisition, but I really wanted to hit it, when I started in October, I wanted to make sure that I was ready before the summer. Yeah, well, the high tail was in March, and then it turned into April, and then finally May, right? And then I think June 1st was like our first day taking over. So I got right in it.
That's aggressive, man, because I took over May 1, but again, I knew what I was doing. I'd already run a van line agency, sure, with part ownership, and I decided to go out on my own, right? So I hit the ground running, but I got a May 1 takeover, and that was rough. So good for you. So you just didn't want to kick it to the fall.
No, I want to make some money in the summertime. I want to make sure what was happening. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, it's your first job in the kitchen. Guess what? We're going to bet you on Friday night.
Yeah.
And, you throw panic. Give you the panic. I love it. Let's see what happens.
Okay. So the advice I would have given you, and this is before we've begun due diligence. We're only aware that we have
opportunity. Opportunity is there. You're like, Peter, what do I got to do?
Yeah. So you're interested. That's always my first question. Okay, guys, they come to me, they go, hey, so-and-so's available in my market. And I don't mean to be, I just want to make sure, because I'm testing your interest. And if it's tepid, then we'll have a tepid look. But if you're hot and bothered, then we'll have a hot and bothered look. Like we'll get after it. So my first question to the client is always, tell me your interest level, right? Because then how much resources are you going to ask me to do to throw at this? Because well, we can do it all, right? If you're jacked and you want to get a look, then we're going to get after it. So we're going to draw up, of course, standard due diligence. We're going to get the documents we want. And but what's my advice to you? As soon as you say to me you're interested, I'm going to want to make sure I understand your current operation. So then I'd be asking you questions, and we can put. But you're going to say to me at the end, I'm a local move. I'm going to ask you, are you doing any hundredweight? Are you scaling the truck? So and your answer to me would be nope. Okay, great.
Scaling the truck's maybe, but like,
But
I'm not figuring out what the weight is. I'm not figuring out.
to extend charge just off a tariff, sure. You're not playing that game, no. Okay. You can leave the province, and that has challenges on your trucks, plates and ISTA and stuff. It's not rocket science. It's actually we're much sure. And if you can get people to just pay you by the hour to round trip it, do it. But eventually you get this distance from home where they can't swallow around. And then the van line tariff, because basically if you ever do a local move, drive there and back, and then you just shave off the return time, the tariff will be about that. Little trick.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to see, because what the van line is built to just go one way with consolidate with other customers. So they compensate you for the load labor, the unload labor, same as your local, and the drive there. They just won't pay you for the drive back because you're going to get another one, and then they're going to trip you out. And then when they don't, it hurts. But the point is, a local is just the van line tariff with the return drive cutoff.
So step one, I'm basically, when I come to you, you're going, okay, so let's assess where you're at.
Let's say
Right? So I'm a local mover, maybe do a bit of storage. I'm probably using a public storage or something like that, maybe as my storage facility. Maybe
you didn't even have the building.
I don't own a building. I maybe even have a 5,000 square foot warehouse myself. Maybe I have some vaults. I'm getting in there. I've had this small moving company. I want to make this. It's been fairly successful and all this kind of stuff. I'm understanding how to grow in the sales side of things. But for me, when I'm looking at this new company, for part two of, we've step one, understand what they're offering, right? Is what you're saying. So if they're doing long distance, if they're doing commercial deliveries, if they have a variety of different divisions, you need to assess what your experience level is on any of those.
You want to know the composition of that 5.
Exactly.
Right? And how much of it is immediately comparable to mine. So you're scaling top line sales, then you're scaling business mix, I call it. And if their business mix is wildly disparate, what if I've had legacies that their local drop? It's just they get sucked into the van line. It changes your fleet. Your driver's attitude changes because hundredweight makes guys drop and roll. Sure, it doesn't work in local. So their local business starts dropping. And then this isn't you now, but you're a local mover and you're 1 million in sales. And you're looking at a legacy guy who's 5 million. Sure. And he's 4 million in van line activity.
Well, I don't, and I've had conversations with those kind of guys going, but as if that's on tomorrow.
I'm going to caution you on that one. Remember, we're back at 2017. You're kind of sure. And I'm never going to ever tell you not to do it. You're in charge. It's your business. Sure. My job, I'm the guy in the corner. You're the one that's going to go out there and take the left hooks. But my advice is keep it up.
Sure.
Right? Goes up, chin down. Exactly. And so my advice to you would be cautious because this is an adversary that you're trying to acquire that you don't understand because it's 4 million of 5 in a business you don't do. So you're a mover and they're a mover. Well, it's different. So, and then you've lived this now because if you did that, I'm going to guess Salmon's was it more 50-50, 50% van line, 50% local?
Or not even, it was a lot of van line. It was a split. Like if you looked at it and just used the easy numbers at 5 million, you say 1 million was local, 1 million was long distance, 1 million was commercial, 1 million was storage. So you have that, even, and I'm just making things easier for breakdown.
Yep.
But you had this spread of divisions available, which is fantastic because, not one department are you heavily relying on. But like you're saying, when you're doing your due diligence, you better make sure that you have some idea about warehousing and price structures on that. You better make sure you have some idea about what they do for long distance, commercial, right? If you're the guy that's locally going, oh man, an upright piano again, I guess we can do it. And you're now turning around going, you guys deliver like 30 grand pianos every single day, or, you do lots of office moves and you've never used a bin dolly or you never really understood the dynamics of breaking down, office furniture and putting it back together, correct? Warehouse racking and putting it back together, and they're doing it. You need to then have that reassessment. So that was really our part one and trying to break that down. Part two, just like anybody else that's probably young and looking at this company, you're going, "Man, look at these guys are doing 5 million in sales.
I could do that.
I can do this." Peter, like, the price point that they want this company, and based on what they're doing, like, we can make this thing work. What do you say to that? Because, it's, where are you supposed to go to when you're trying to evaluate now going, is their offer make sense based on the fact that the guy's looking at it going, look at how much they're making.
Yep. Love it. You're getting right to it. So the model I'm developing in coaching and when it comes to me through is that first we have to do regular due diligence to come up with a value off an asset we don't know in the weeds yet. Okay. But the seller is not going to let us that far in the door if we don't do an LOI. But we want to get further in the door to understand because their financials are usually sandwiched. They seldom the guys do job costing commercial from local, from long distance. So you just get a bottom line net. And if your cost of goods are blown, which one's doing it to you? But we'll get there. Okay. But first we have to do evaluation, do an LOI to get in the door, and then they'll crack the books open more. Now we're going to go into accounts. And what I can help with is I can actually not look at their numbers. I can teach you, because you don't know the commercial business. In this example, you don't know it. Local, I charge $200 an hour and your back end cost structure, right? I tell you what you charge for a delivery. I tell you get $85 a stop threshold and you can do 12 a day. And you're like, yee, right? Because you do 12 times 85 and you say, but how long does that take the guys? 10 hours? You're starting to see this margin compression, but it's volume business. But to what I can do is I start helping you understand, because how you learned local is you said, what do I need to charge? And then what do I spend? Cost, truck, man, and fuel, right? And once you learned that, you started to know your contribution margin. And then when you know your contribution margin is available to buy your overheads, like yourself, pay yourself a nickel, right? You have that in each one of your business streams, but you don't know these business streams because you're about to acquire them and he can't show them to you because his financials are consolidated. So now we got to unwind the spider run. And how do we do it? It's laborious. It depends on the seller's financing. And if he can't give us this data, we may discount our valuation to protect you from buying an unrolled asset. But if he can give us the data, give me the accounts, show me your rate sheet for that delivery customer, because that stuff to me, I just burned through it. He can make money. All those accounts have a different restoration hardware, $85 a stop. That one's $125 a stop, but the stops take 2 hours. And those are just examples. And then the tariff. And then now you're understanding G11s versus hauling, and I can help you see that.
So basically what you're doing, to wrap it up for people that you're like, Peter, you're kind of going right over my head here, and let's figure this out, is that, once you get into that deep dive. So, I put the letter of intent is out.
And it has a valuation on it.
The company has now opened up the books, and you are now looking at this books and you're assessing, going, okay, great. Like, this is amazing. Yeah, great. They're doing 5 million. But what's your net costs at the end of the day, right? Your expenses and everything else are going to leave you with $100,000. So, and that retained earnings might not be there after they pulled all of the equity out and dividends and everything else once the company is sold. So you need to then look at, if they want, let's just say $1 million for the company, and they have a $5 million company, does that price make sense? So then I jump to, okay, cool. All right, let's say the numbers work out decent. Yeah, but you coming back and say, look, Mark, based on what you're looking at, I could see you paying off this company where you're now, more in the green in, let's say, 10 years, based on this kind of structure, making sure you have a good cash flow, everything else. Now I want to figure out, do I want a share sale or an asset sale? And am I looking at the inventory of what they have to justify this $1 million sale? How do I set up for you, right? Great if it would finally kind of close out on which way to go. So I'm looking at the assets, right? You're going to be someone that can at least help me with evaluating what that 1998 International is worth, as opposed to 2018.
Say, hey, we're taking out all the way down to the forklift pads and the vaults, all the stuff. Yeah. And you do a high and a low and a high. Yeah. Okay. And then that protects you against the 2014 Ken where it's good, and the 2014 that's bad. Right. And so you do a high low and you come up and then you're ballparking. Yeah. Help you with all that so that you're not buying a dog. But that's going to help you with your share versus asset sale, because there are so many liabilities. The storage we need to talk about, but really the asset and share, I keep it. Why? It's a negotiating tool for flow, because I can put more money in the pocket of the seller with a share sale, and I'll take that on if he'll drop the price, his risk for money. but an asset, 100 grand.
Were you in 2017, non-drug out?
But if I offer you 100 grand for an asset sale, sure, you know they're going to take 25%, if not more, and you're only getting 75 taxes. Right? But if I give you 100 grand share to get in 100, so I can actually give you 85 share, and it's more than 100 asset. And if my seller doesn't understand that, I'm going to educate him because I'm taking some of the risk of. So you got to give me a discount. They give me a haircut. In a share sale, the haircut is coming out of the government on the taxes. Okay, so you take the risk, he gets the tax pickup, but the price tag drops. That's your win. Okay, and then that helps your cash flow. So you make a strategic, informed decision instead of just arbitrarily, do I want to share an asset? And everyone says asset. I don't want the baggage, right? But maybe I'll take the baggage if it makes the deal work, because we're back to the price, and the price needs to be able to be afforded. The debt servicing needs to be afforded in your business model, because we talked about this in the seminar. His cost structure has one thing that you're adding, burden on the debt, is he owns his couple more often than not. So he doesn't have any burden on the purchase. You're going to have to be able to carry that. That's a new cost. So your cost structure might not be better than his. It might be worse. Except what if you see through our analysis a bunch of operational efficiencies, because he was old and he's not matching their time cards versus his billing. You see this all the time. And the boys are handing in 10 hours on an 8-hour bill, right? So his cost of goods has just gone through the roof. Sure, he's old and tired. So we can look at that together and we can say, okay, we can get money back, and that money we get back, we can use to service the debt. But we planned it all in, and then we understand what we can pay. And so I had looked a guy across the table who says, it's $1 million. Just that's the number, making it all up. And you say, I understand. I'm not going to argue with it. Well, we can't afford that. You know your numbers. We're working it back in. We can only afford 800. I've literally done that. And then it's back to them. How motivated are they to sell? Does that help?
For sure. What happens when you are looking at those numbers and you are going back to them saying, look, okay, you want $1 million, but the way I can see it being structured is I want to offer you 800. Let's say I'm going to put in 200 and I want, or it's 300. Let's make it nice, easy numbers. I'm going to give you 300. And I'm going to want like a vendor take back. I want a vendor financing through you guys to cover the other $500,000, the 500,000 over a 5-year period. Because they either want to retire or anything else. Is this a common approach that you see in the younger buyers these days?
100%. Because what this would allow you, and again, if we take $1 million and you force 500 onto the seller, okay, and you got to go get 500, you're going to the bank with $1 million asset and asking for 500 approved. Okay, why? Because he ain't asking for $1 million. He's covering you for the other half. Okay, and these guys know this, and they're again, if you have the right fit on your due diligence, you'll understand what is their story for selling, because your pitch is more than money. I'm coming to help and getting you out, and these guys are open to that pitch. And are they willing to throw some of the money they built up over the years to make it work? Yeah, 100%.
Okay, here comes the flip.
Okay, all right, flip it.
So this is the process that is going on. We've hit these all. We're going to end on this one. For any more information, guys, we definitely will have Peter's contact information that you can hit him up. And he seems to be just a wealth of knowledge. So Peter, last issue that I am looking at is I find out going through this system that the 10,000 square foot warehouse that it had is actually owned by a separate holding company within that organization, right? Or let's say they had a holding company or an LLC and they owned the warehouse and they are looking at saying, okay, here's what the company purchased for the shares is worth, but my warehouse today is worth, let's say, and also $5. Yep, right? Let's go some, well, it's not even because of prices, danger root, but 15 million.
Fresh.
So, but let's just make this easy, right? So it's worth, let's just make it even easier. Selling my company for $1 million, $5 million company, and my warehouse is worth $2 million that I purchased as well too, and it's under a different company, but you as the buyer are going, yeah, but I want the works too. I'm only going to the bank to say, I have 500,000 and the vendor take back up 300,000. So the purchase of the company has been taken care of. How am I structuring to now purchase this warehouse? Because I don't want to wait 5 years for me to have my name on that door, because the valuation of that warehouse might have swung way up. And what's to say these guys go, whoa, Mark, you know what? This happened and this happened and this happened. And that warehouse now that used to be 2 million is now like 6 million. So how do you structure that and go, okay, this is the value that I want today,
and we're going to set up some type of payment plan. But when do you take over ownership, and how does that look like, and how does that work? And because on a vendor take back,
Yep.
purchased it that day, June 1st, you fully own that company. And you're just on a financial payback. But on a property, now it's in my name or a holding company. So how does that work?
When we first had, back when we started and you brought me the opportunity and I asked you your interest level, you would tell me we have an opco and a profit. Okay. And now you're telling me. So now I'm going to answer to that.
Was because we were talking so much that, after the mind of going back and forth, we find out these guys were withholding and said, hey, guess what? We actually have this warehouse that we wanted to hold on to, but now we just want to sell it. Perfect. Right. And let's use that.
So then you and I have been working, and so we've done a lot of spade work on the opco, and we've even reached a deal with the vendor chargeback and everything. And now the property comes thrown in. Okay. It's tricky because the property's going to always be a larger nugget. No building, no matter how small, is worth less than the opco. These moving companies aren't worth what we would like them to, of course. It's something I had to make peace with, and my job is to, but the properties
your job is to give everybody a reality check.
the bad news.
That's right.
But now we've got the property, but the principle's the same, meaning you can look at a deal, and the first, are they interested in selling? And you just told me they changed their mind, they now are, and it's on the tape. Well, I would look at you and say, do you have the wherewithal to get a 20% downstroke on that, whatever number we come sure? And you say no, and I say, well, then we can't, right? Same, that was like me asking you if you're interested in the opco. Well, you're not, it's not going to be a dollar, but if you have some wherewithal, sure, let's go after it. So if you have some wherewithal, roughly 20%, because what's going to happen is the bank's not going to,
For those that understand, you mean like a 20% deposit.
a downstroke.
Yeah, down payment. Yeah.
Good catch. And so, because the bank's not going to give you a mortgage and you're going to need one to buy them out. Sure, if you guys agree on a price that you like, okay, but does the price of the building that you agree to and that you're going to communicate with the bank, does it have to be the final price that you're going to pay him? No. I was just talking to a client about this, and again, 5 was our number. Can you say, I'll give you 3 or do a vendor take back on 2? So meaning I'm going to borrow your money. I'll give you 5. It might even be over market. Well, you're going to pay for it. Like, I get a vendor back to you, and then I can go to the bank and get an easy mortgage, and my downstroke might only be 10 because I'm doing 3 million on a 5 million appraised property, right? Now he's going to want to get some hooks into his 2 million. Sure, right? But that's fine. You can be second creditor to the bank, and they won't get upset. But the idea, the same thing you did in the move code.
Okay, it'll only be applied on the warehouse.
Yes.
Okay.
But the point is, no matter what, in both circumstances, Hopcore, we did have to have some money down. And that's why you need to be able to ballpark that and know you got the downstroke for the opco. Because even if you structure the guy 80% vendor finance over 5 years, you still need a 20% downstroke for the opco. And you're usually staring at 10, 20 on the building. But if you have that wherewithal, it can all be done because you ask him to carry the money if he's motivated, because he came to you and said we wanted to keep it and now we want to sell it. And you're like, okay, well, I'll help you solve that. You got to work. So the great thing about moving is, I always say to everybody, it's a great opportunity for a lot of us to generate wealth, right? Like what you're talking about. I don't know other places where you can come in, start with 1 trout, 2 trouts, buy a company, tumble buying buildings, right? Just very fun. And as long as you play it right. And so what I'm saying is that the guys that are selling, they did well.
At least you hope so.
Yeah, you hope so. And if you're talking to him, that's what you're exploring, because if he's doing well, he can kind of be the bank. And then, but you're here to give him a solution. I don't want to sell to, but there's a trade there. And if you can find that, it makes the deals go a lot easier. But if you can't, if he's in tight and needs money now, and he's already can, then it might not be disco. I'm not sure, unless you really want to discount price. So it's a classic one. If you want cash, I got to grind you on the price. If you're willing to lend me money, I'll actually pay you more.
Right. Yeah. Guys, I really hope you were jotting this down and taking some notes and trying to understand, especially if you're looking at purchasing a company, and I'd love to get Peter on board when we talk about like not just acquiring a company, but maybe even going, hey, I want to expand out and what do I have to look for, right, to get that second branch, to get that, involved, because you're still looking at the same numbers. You're now looking at, what kind of space you need at that location. We can even go into a deeper level saying, I'm looking to acquire a company that is within my market, maybe in another city over. What does that look like as for expanding your business, and what makes sense and what doesn't? So Thank you so much for tuning in, Peter. It was an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate your time. For anybody that wants to learn more, make sure you check us out online. We'll have his information to LinkedIn and his website. And again, everybody, you can just always tune into Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watch us on YouTube and stay Movified. Till next time.